This is a very, very steep moment in Naruto history because even though this whole arc is filler, you gotta give it props for story-wise because this is a very good story. Sorry for the shaking. Camera's a little off on my computer. Yeah, this is Sellavin. I'm giving a review of Naruto Shippuden episode 359, The Night of Tragedy. Hey, it starts off with Itachi getting assigned captain of the Ambu Black Ops at age 13. Remember, Kakashi did say that when he was in the first Naruto, the part 1. No, when Itachi invaded the Hidden Leaf with Kisame. He is assigned to that, but that also means he's also going to be under Danzo's direct order. That means he's going to be under the direct order of him, and it's going to be reporting in on him. And Danzo, he does take advantage of this in more ways than one. Trust me. But Itachi's smart. He knows what he did to Shisui, and he's not afraid of Danzo at all. But Kakashi, he tries to do his best, and tries to help as best way he can. Like, he tries to convince Itachi that, because he's also his comrade, he's also Shinobi of the Leaf. And then again, there's also everybody else. But everybody else is trying to understand. For example, Yamato is also amazed that they assigned a 13-year-old to be captain, because that would be the youngest in history. I mean, Itachi and Kakashi, he's been to the Ambu for 10 years. He was very young, like 16 at least. Yeah, and he was made captain 18, I think, he wasn't made captain until 2 years later, until he met Yamato. And but things are getting out of hand a little bit, district. For example, the Uchiha clan are considering meetings and meeting. And Hiruzen, the third Hokage, he tries his best to divert this, try to stop it. But then again, there's Danzo and the other two counselors. For mostly Danzo, and they should use their mobile assessment force to take down the Uchiha clan, and in case to strike at them now. But Hiruzen said don't, so to keep them well prepared. And you also get to see multiple elements. For example, you get to see little kid Naruto. We haven't seen Naruto since he was a baby in the last episode. You get to see kid Naruto, kid Sasuke. They argue, you know how they used to be. And in fact, they're arguing way before, it seems you get to see that they're fighting even happened when they were little kids. Remember, Naruto was always jealous of Sasuke and his extraordinary skills, how he was considered a class clown in everything. Whether it was basic stuff, ninjutsu, or even casting the simplest of his trick, like throwing kunai or his shuriken at the tree. And remember, they even fought way back then before the Uchiha strategy. And this was Sasuke way was as a kid. And we got to see multiple elements. For example, Obito sneaking into the village to the Uchiha district. Apparently, you get to know that the village barrier didn't change much. That's the sneaker throwing of the barrier core. Remember, Itachi snuck into the village after the death of Hokage because he promised to take care of Sasuke, but he snuck in, but he didn't use it up to now. But after the Hokage died, he snuck in with Kisame. Remember, to instill a warning to Danzo that he was alive and still a threat. And Hiruzen kept that barrier the same way. He even told Hashi how this area, where there was a secret opening to the Uchiha clan. And after the fall of the Hidden Leaf, everything was in instability with Orochimaru's presence and everything. This episode was about decision making, changes, and a lot of drama. Cause Itachi, he sold out his own clan to prevent a civil war, and in the end he was branded a criminal. And Danzo took complete advantage of it, no matter what the cost. But Itachi didn't do it alone. He had Madara, aka Obito, aka Toby, helping him in the whole way. And also you get to see that Kakashi and Guy, they go to the Uchiha district, but even though it's been years, Kakashi still worries about Obito. He still does, even though he's dead. To him, he doesn't know that he's still alive. He even went to his house. It's been years since he's on there. And like what, 10? I think he hasn't been there in 10 years, so ever since Obito died. He kept a promise that he wouldn't let anyone else die, or his comrades, or even the Uchiha clan. But the Uchiha clan's atmosphere in the district seemed harder and colder, like something changed. And he sensed this. And even after the massacre, he went to Obito's house again, after the massacre, after the district, and everything else. And also, because he said, He promised that he wouldn't let any of his friends die or anything bad happen, and he felt like the promise was broken to him, and he just broke another promise to his friend, letting his friend's own clan die and everything else, leaving one survivor. You also get to see Sasuke after everything. He's just a boy, and yet he saw a horrible tragedy befall his entire family. The seeds of evil have been planted in a child, and you definitely know how bad that could be for a little boy. That is very bad for someone like Sasuke, and also for his own sake. And also get to see that because of Danzo's insurrection, the Hiruzen had enough that he disbanded Danzo's foundation, that he disbanded them, that his whole Anbu unit now belongs to the Hokage, and he was relieved of second command of the Hidden Leaf. That his hatred for that even though Danzo did his best intentions, it was still cruel and unusual, and Hiruzen was soft and kind. So basically, they were the light in the darkness, and he did the best he could for his own reasons. And remember that Danzo waited years for his moment after Hiruzen died, and after what happened with everything else. After what happened with Tsunade and the fall of the Hidden Leaf, after Pain, and Danzo took his chance, as Hokage, and then everything else. Everything else is crazy in that whole era. And Itachi, he did what was necessary. He even confronted Danzo, wearing an Anbu mask and using his Mangekyo. He's not scared of Danzo at all, saying that if you lay a finger on, okay, I will leave every info I have to Hidden Leaf. To enemy nations, and he used his Mangekyo while he was doing it, meaning that Itachi was not afraid to confront Danzo if necessary. Even though he took Shishui's eye, he has one Mangekyo, while Itachi has two. One beats two every time. Alright, but you gotta admit, Shishui is pretty strong, but then again, so for his Koto Atsukami, but then again, there's also, Itachi Tsukuyomi, and that's pretty strong too. Genjutsu versus Genjutsu. Let's see which one is stronger. When you're using Mangekyo. That all depends. But then again, this is all part of the main story. Itachi, he begged the third Hokage, hey, to keep an eye on Sasuke after he disappeared. And the fourth Hokage told. And remember, like I said, remember I said the jutsu formula, a barrier to detect enemies. There's a weak spot in Uchiha clan hideout. He told everybody in the he told Kakashi, he even told Itachi, he said he kept the jutsu formula the same all these years, even after he was and died, because in case he would sneak in to check on Sasuke once in a while to make sure that nothing bad went to him. And he took the responsibility. He took the burden of being a criminal, a murderer, a exiled shinobi, and even joined a criminal group like the Akatsuki to protect his home country. He stopped a civil war by committing a murder. They say in history, a good deed can come from an evil act, and that's true. And this just proves my point. Right. And despite everything, Itachi, even though he hid his shame, his sorrow, and sadness behind the mask, because he had to keep everything up, to keep his cover a secret, and to make sure that no one would learn the dirty secret of the Uchiha clan's coup d'etat, and also about his own dirty past. As he sacrificed his own heart just to make sure everything was done. And then again, I gotta give him props for that. And this is a good story, even though it ended in such violent tragedy. You gotta give Naruto and all the creators for that. And we're still not done with the Anbu Kakashi Chronicle arc. Even though mostly this arc is supposed to be about Kakashi's Anbu days, I'm glad that we got to see a little bit of Itachi and some other characters we haven't seen in some good while. Because even though this is supposed to be about Kakashi and his and everything else, I'm glad that we're getting more characters like the Uchiha. This way we get some more backstory, because the Uchiha clan didn't get, even though we got Sasuke, Itachi, Madara, Obito, but I'm glad we got at least a couple more out of this. It's good. It should be good. And I give this a thumbs up for that. And next week, the next episode is Kakashi. You see, the third Hokage took away his title as a Anbu blackout because he thought he would keep him under watch after Minato died, to make sure her to keep him under direct order. After Minato died, the third Hokage continued to watch him, to protect him, to keep his promise to Minato. But he thought that after 10 years, keeping him and Yambu was a burden too much. He thought he'd be better instead of being as a teacher, a Jonin. But now that the Hokage found there's no police force, he's gonna make them the leader of all the head Jonin in the Hidden Leaf. That will make him the good guy in charge of all that. And that's a good move, because this way he can become a teacher and become teacher both to Naruto, Sasuke, and Sakura. But you also get to see that he's not having much trouble, having a hard time, because you remember he didn't start teaching Genin before. He started to teach, but remember he put everybody through a test. He didn't start teaching until Naruto, Sasuke, and Sakura still passing the test. You watched the first couple episodes of Naruto, and read the original manga. He didn't start teaching until after that. And everybody else was all failures. Failure after that. That would have been at least 3 years. 3 years of failures. All that. And I give that a thumbs up, because I can't wait to see it, because it's like watching the beginning all over again in a whole new style. And they've been doing a lot of that in a lot of the fillers over the past couple of years. Over the past 300 episodes of Naruto Shippuden, they've been doing that a lot. And I give it props for that. Hope you enjoyed. Thanks for watching. This is Sellavin. I'll put the link down in the description. Hope you're doing. Thanks for watching. Comment, subscribe.